here I am with this 03 VFR, and I'm blessed in that I have a center stand, or cursed, depends on who you ask. But all your VFRs come with a center stand. Put them up, and the weight goes across the front tire, kicks the back tire off the ground, gives you about half an inch of clearance, whatnot. And you say, well, why do I have a Chewy box underneath of it? And I'm going to tell you, I'm getting ready to do some chain maintenance on it. Like I said before in the previous videos, we got caught in a little bit of rain yesterday, so the chain needs to be lubed, cleaned and lubed. It also needs to be tightened up just a little bit. Always something to do after a long distance trip. But I get to cheat because I have a center stand. For those of you who don't, you can also use pit bull rear stands, etc., etc. But basically, I'm going to throw it up in the air like I've done, and I'm going to turn the engine on. I'm going to let the chain warm up just a little bit. I'm going to throw some WD-40 on it with the grunge brush, and I'm going to just sit there and let it kind of wind on its own through idle. And then when I'm done, I'll put it back in neutral, turn it off, and wipe it down by hand. So here we go. I use the cardboard. Even at low idle first gear, you'll see it kind of slings the WD-40, and that's to be expected. I mean, come on, that's mechanics. You'll see that it puts some WD-40 up on my plastic. You know, it oversprays quite a bit, and that's fine. That's why you have a grunge brush. That's why you use a little towel or cardboard, etc. So now all we got to do is clean it up. Shop towels, you can get them at Walmart. You can get them just about anywhere. Basically, they're great to have around the house for when you want to do stuff like this. So we're just going to use it, the boot towels, a little bit of WD-40. We're going to use it to finish wiping down the chain, getting the chain nice and clean, and then we'll go to lubing the chain. Douse your little towel, douse it as much as you want. Find a spot on here that you can find. I usually try the joiner ring, and then just basically just wipe away. Now you hear that popping in the chain. That tells me I've got a bind somewhere, usually from lack of lube or etc. And you're going to go through these towels, something for yourself. Don't be afraid to use your towels heavily. We're talking about what WD-40 can do for you for removing grease and whatnot. Here, you'll see all of this is chain grease from past rides and etc. You get caught in the rain and whatnot, and all this dirt and debris and whatnot gets up in here, and that's fine. I mean, a sprocket is a sprocket. You're going to get it dirty and blah blah blah. But while you're doing the chain, you can sit here, you could use the rag and WD-40, you could use a toothbrush, grunge brush, whatever you want, and kind of scrub that out and make it all look nice and clean. But again, WD-40 leaves a residue, so that'll all come right back again next time you get somewhere dirty. So I kind of just leave it alone. I mean, it's usually the dirtiest part of my bike, but I mean, we put thousands of miles on these things, so no biggie. While I'm down here, I'm also going to be looking at the teeth on the rear sprocket. Typically, I replace mine about once every usually about once every 15,000. I'm not a wheelie kind of stunner kind of guy. Chains usually last me 10 to 15,000. Usually when I replace the chain, I replace the sprockets. I bought this bike used, don't know the history on it too much. Those sprockets are looking pretty good, chain's looking pretty good, just needs to be lubed, tightened, and we'll be done. So as you can see, the chain is wickedly much cleaner. All the dirt and debris has been removed. Nothing I can do about the chain and the discoloration around the links that happened from the previous owner. I had nothing to do with that. But I mean, I'd eat off the chain, so that's clean. I got it the outside, got the inside, got the wheels, got everything. Cleaned it up. Gonna wipe it down a couple more times with a towel, get rid of some more of the link debris that's kind of up inside there. Use the grunge brush on it again, knock that out, and then I'm gonna start the bike up, let it idle for a few minutes, get the chain nice and warm, and then we'll put some Honda spray on it, Honda chain lube on it. All right, so for my liking, I have the chain as clean as I need it to be, and I'm getting ready to fire it off, get the chain warmed up so I can put some chain lube on it and call it a day. But in my earlier video, I talked about I wanted to go ahead and do some chain maintenance to it. It's been a while since the chain's been tightened up. As I was cleaning the chain, I'm sure you heard it binding in a couple of places. That has to do a lot with the slack and lack of chain lube and blah blah blah. So I'm getting ready to just kind of bring the chain back just a titch, and in order to do that, you of course, VFRs are a little bit different than most bikes. Most bikes, you've got like a pinch bolt somewhere in here on either side of the bike, and you loosen the axle nut and allow, and according to how you spin each side of the bolts, you basically bring the tire backwards, and that will allow the chain to tighten up. And when you get it to where you need it to be, you know, manufacturer's recommendations, your personal preference, blah blah blah. When you're done, you just simply tighten back down on the axle bolt and you're done. VFR is a little different. VFRs have a single-sided swing arm. Everything that is chain related is actually located here on this bolt, and then if you look inside, you'll see these teeth, and I'm probably doing a bad job pointing at it, but these teeth with grooves in them. And so what you do is you back it. This is actually your axle bolt. You back out on it, and then you use a spanner wrench, and this might not be the right one, but spanner wrench, and you basically roll the wheel backwards or forwards. When you get it to where you want it, then of course you tighten it down. Now there is a torque level, there's a specification, blah blah blah, about how you're supposed to do it. If you're not a manufacturer and you don't have a clue, you can see the previous owner actually marked where he's been putting the axle bolt. So for torque purposes, because I don't have a torque wrench, I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to back off on it. I'm going to spin the wheel the way I need it to, get the chain tightened where I want, and then I'll bring the axle bolt and put it right back in the spot that it's in. Okay, so what I've done is you'll need a 17 millimeter socket and a wrench. You may need a breaker bar. In my case, I did. And basically break it loose. Don't take it all the way out. Don't make it too loose. I only turned it one full turn, and that's just enough to make everything nice and loose, so now I can get in there with my spanner wrench and basically roll the tire. And again, I said this earlier, I don't think the spanner wrench I have in my hand is the right one. Doesn't feel like it's the right one. It's not the right one. So I'll go get the right one, and basically you put it into these teeth. See what I'm doing? Put it in the teeth, and you roll down or up, depending upon how you need to do it, and that will tighten or loosen your chain. So I'm going to go get the right spanner wrench. Okay, so using the right spanner wrench, got the wheel pretty much, the chain pretty much as tight as I want it to be. And let's get a screwdriver here. And you can see, taking quite a bit of slack out of it. I don't remember what the specs are. You know, people's opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one. So some folks will tell you 3/4 of an inch. Some folks will tell you 1 inch. I don't know. I've been riding for 30-something years, and to me, that looks about right. So do it yourself. You know, don't hate on me. If you don't like it, don't watch the video. But to me, that's about where it needs to be. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take that 17-inch millimeter socket. We're going to tighten that back up. Go back around the loop, mark to mark, and we'll be done. Put the socket back into place. My little mark, because I don't have a torque wrench with me. Got everything situated. Got the chain where I want it to be. Chain's fairly clean. Now it just needs to be warmed up, a little bit of chain lube thrown on it, and it'll be ready for the next round. Now I'm going to tell you, when you spray the chain lube, you're going to get it all over your rims. I mean, that's just the way, the nature of the beast, that's the way it is. You're going to get it everywhere. So that's why I use the cardboard. Keeps it from going all over my driveway. And when I'm done, I'll go back with some of that SC1 and a microfiber towel, and I'll wipe down my wheels, and you won't be any the wiser. Now, without having put any chain lube on it yet, I'm just waiting for the chain to come to temperature. With just WD-40 and tightening the chain up just a little bit, you can already notice a nice change in the tune and how it's behaving. So I'm going to let it warm up a little bit more, and we'll throw some chain lube on it. I'm pretty sure some safety knot is going to yell at me leaving the bike in gear while I put chain lube on it. You know what? Don't really care. Do whatever makes yourself comfortable, whatever is the easiest for you, less time consuming. Don't put your safety at risk. But what I'm getting ready to do doesn't hurt nobody. Now, I do chain lube as close to the inner in the center as possible, because I know that as you put the bike through its motions, chain lube will work its way outwards to the outside of the chain. So do whatever you want, but this is how I do it. Quieter, wouldn't you say? Hey? Now, to get rid of all the blowback, all the overspray, we'll call it a day. Well, actually, that's wrong, because I got to change the oil still. This is Sean from, boy, I'm going to cut that shit out. That didn't work. Alright, so let's try this again. Blooper reel. So on today's episode of In the Creek Without a Paddle,